Curly Foo and Peanut Productions present Sherlock Holmes and the Adventure of the Devil's Foot, adapted from the short story by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. We start our tale at Poldhu Bay in Cornwall, England, the holiday destination of the great consulting detective, Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Holmes?
Yes, Watson?
Do you like to be beside the seaside?
Well, yes, I do like to be beside the sea.
Do you like to stroll along the prom?
The prom?
Oh, yes, the prom.
Only if there's a brass band playing.
Tiddly-om-pom-pom?
Oh, Watson, do be quiet.
Lighten up, Holmes.
What do you mean, lighten up? We're on holiday here in Cornwall so that I don't tip right over the edge into a full-blown psychological meltdown.
And that's an excuse for being grumpy then, is it?
Yes, I rather think that it is. You know, I could really go for a Red Bull right now.
Oh, terrific idea, Holmes. Let's treat your nervous exhaustion with liberal doses of an energy drink containing high levels of caffeine and sugar. That'll calm you right down.
Well, I wouldn't need it if I had something to occupy my mind. Poldhu Bay is so boring.
I thought you were enjoying your study of the Cornish language while we're here.
What, you mean? All right, my lover, I'm right full of pasty, I am. It's hardly a derivation of Phoenician, is it?
Was that supposed to be Cornish?
Yes.
Well, it sounded like a Welsh Geordie.
Yeah, whatever. It's boring.
Let's go surfing.
No, I look ridiculous in a wetsuit.
Well, you only look ridiculous because you insist on wearing sturdy shoes and a deer stalker at the same time.
It's my thing.
OK, well, how about a brisk walk along the cliff tops then?
No, I dunno.
We can throw stones at the seagulls if you want.
No, thanks for your concern, Watson, but I'm really not in the mood.
Mr. Holmes!
Well, 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 what have we here? Somebody's calling me.
Hello there, Mr. Holmes!
It looks like Mr. Roundhay, the vicar. He's running towards us. Who's that with him?
It appears to be that friend of his, Mortimer Tregennis.
Oh, blimey, not that little weirdo. He always looks like he's been told off by his mum.
Tregennis does have that scolded puppy look about him, doesn't he?
Do you think he was a bedwetter?
Almost certainly. Probably still is. Shh, be careful. They're getting closer, they might hear us. Hello, Mr. Roundhay. Hello, Mortimer.
Ah, Mr. Holmes, the most extraordinary and tragic affair has occurred during the night.
Hi, Mortimer.
Good day, Mr. Watson.
Do you need to go to the loo?
What? No, I am fine, thank you.
Are you sure? We wouldn't want any little accidents.
I am quite all right. I went earlier.
Where?
Leave the poor man alone, Watson. Now, Mr. Roundhay, what can I do for you?
Can we go and sit down somewhere to talk? Rushing to find you has quite taken it out of me.
Let's go to the pub.
Capital idea, my good friend.
Oh, you cheered up all of a sudden.
That's because I sense there's a case afoot. Come on, drinks are on me. Here you go then. Yours is a pint of Gavin's Faintly Peculiar, Vicar.
I thank you, kind sir.
Here's your scrumpy, Watson.
Lovely. Tar.
I don't know how you drink that revolting stuff. Yuh. Mortimer, here's your, glass of milk.
Thank you very much. It is a bit cold.
Classic.
And a fortifying glass of vodka and 7% solution Red Bull for me.
Holmes, you promised you'd lay off the Red Bull.
Stop fretting, Watson. The vodka counteracts its effects.
OK, that makes sense.
I thought you were a medical doctor.
I am. An army medical doctor.
That explains a lot.
Come on then if you think you're hard enough.
OK, Vicar. Don't keep us in suspense any longer. What do you wish to tell us?
Madness and death.
Well, that's it, is it? 2 words after all that build-up. I expected a bit more. Hey, but at least you got a free pint out of it. Must try that one myself sometime.
No, Mr. Holmes.
I'm referring to Mr. Mortimer's siblings.
Owen, George, and Brenda.
Quite so.
What about them?
Owen and George Tregennis were found in their home this morning, and they'd gone stark staring mad.
Okay. This story isn't floating my boat so far.
Nice nautical reference, Holmes.
Thank you, Watson.
Because we're at the seaside.
Yes, Watson. Is that all, Mr. Roundhay?
Indeed not. Brenda Tregennis was dead.
And there it is. Bazinga, I'm interested.
So, will you look into the matter then, Mr. Holmes?
I would first like to know more of the circumstances of the incident.
Mortimer, would you provide the details? You experienced them firsthand.
Very well. I spent yesterday evening at Tregenic Water.
What is Tregenic Water?
It's the name of the house where my brothers and sisters live.
You don't live with them then?
No, we had a disagreement some time ago and I moved out. I now lodge with Mr. Roundhay.
What was the disagreement about?
Owen, George and Brenda insisted on getting Netflix.
And you didn't want Netflix?
Certainly not. We already pay enough to the BBC for the drivel they put out.
Doctor Who's good.
Watson does have a point there.
And they do show Family Guy.
Oh, I love Family Guy. It's hilarious.
And then there's Sherlock.
Yeah, the plots are pretty good, but the characterization's a bit weak.
Oh, and what about...
Okay, shut up now, Watson. Mortimer, please continue with your account of the events.
Well, we had a disagreement, but we are now the best of friends. I had in fact gone to visit them for an evening meal and some amusement.
I presume that after you had eaten, you all settled down to watch a slightly out-of-date movie on Netflix.
Certainly not. That would have been most hypocritical of me. In fact, I refused to even have the television switched on.
So, how did you pass the time?
We played Trivial Pursuit.
Oh, I love Triv.
Of course you do, you always win.
Can I help it if my mind is an infinite repository of knowledge?
A dustbin of useless information, more like.
Have we ever lost a pub quiz?
No.
Then be quiet. Carry on with your tale, Mortimer.
I stayed until 10:15, whereupon I returned to my lodgings at Mr. Roundhay's.
And how were your family when you left?
They were as merry as could be.
So, playing Trivial Pursuit hadn't driven anyone insane then?
No, I do not think anyone could lose their mind playing such a game.
Really? Because it drives me bloody mad when I play with Holmes.
That's because you're rubbish unless the questions are about TV soap operas or Jack Reacher novels.
The housekeeper, Mrs. Porter, she found Brenda, Owen and George this morning. She immediately sent for the police and our local physician, Dr. Richards. Richards in turn informed Mortimer while on his way to the tragedy.
Mortimer, is there anything you can think of from last night that would account for the madness and death?
There was one odd occurrence.
What was it?
Well, George was in the process of ridiculing me for not knowing which band, led by an American singer, won the 1997 Eurovision Song Contest for Britain.
Katrina and the Waves.
See, what did I tell you? It's bloody irritating.
Well, I did not know that, as I am unfamiliar with the music of these Waves people. While George was educating me, as he usually does at such times, I looked over his shoulder into the garden beyond the window, and it seemed to me that I saw something moving in the bushes on the lawn.
Was it a pervert?
I did not think of that.
Yet, Watson, you are the only person I know who sees a twitching bush and thinks, perv.
I am sure it was not anything of the sort.
You didn't investigate then?
No.
I bet it was a pervert.
Give it a rest, Watson. Mortimer, I have observed that you do not seem particularly upset by your family's demise.
Ugh.
Oh, I know what you mean. I've got a brother too, and he is so needy.
Mycroft worships you, Holmes.
All I'm saying is, I think I can empathise with Mortimer's view of families.
Well, it seems to me you're reading an awful lot into a rather non-committal grunt. Please, Mr. Holmes, will you investigate the case?
You bet I will. Just before you chaps arrived, I was telling Watson how boring this holiday was.
You're supposed to be resting, Holmes.
Not a chance, Watson. I want to visit Tregenic Water immediately and see what we can learn firsthand from the scene. Come on, lads, drink up.
What precisely is Mr. Holmes doing?
He's, examining the scene for clues.
Oh my God, who is these nowadays?
But he is making such a mess.
What a repugnant photograph.
Between you and me, I think he just uses it as an excuse to go through other people's stuff. In his defence though, it may actually be a mental disorder.
Oops.
Is there any way of stopping him?
Feel free to try, but once he gets like this, it's usually best just to let him run out of steam.
Why?
Because if you intervene, he will probably frisk you.
Oh dear, I did not think that I would like that.
Oh, it can be really funny if you have the foresight to put something unusual in your pocket.
Such as?
Hey, look at me, I'm a pretty girl.
Well, on one occasion, I put a studded leather codpiece in my back pocket. You should have seen Holmes's face when he pulled it out. It was hysterical. Strange thing is, I don't remember him giving it back to me.
Most amusing, I'm sure.
All done, Holmes?
What? Oh, yes.
What the bloody hell has been going on in here?
Mrs. Porter, I thought you'd gone to join your family at St. Ives.
I came back for me tablets and inhaler.
Gentlemen, allow me to introduce Mrs. Porter, the housekeeper here.
Who are you?
This is Dr. John Watson, and I am Sherlock Holmes.
The Sherlock Holmes?
Yes.
Give me an autograph.
Here you are, Holmes. Only brought the 6x3 photos.
That'll do, Watson. To Mrs. Porter, all the best, Sherlock Holmes. There you are, Mrs. Porter.
Put a kiss on it.
I don't usually.
Do it.
There you are. You have a remarkably similar appearance and disposition to our housekeeper, Mrs. Hudson, back in London. I don't suppose you're related to her in any way, are you?
She's my grandfather's son's wife's daughter on my father's side.
So, she's your sister then?
That's what I just said.
Ye gods, I wonder how many more of them are scattered around the globe like some sort of disastrous cloning experiment.
What did you just say?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Just look at the mess in here. Look at it. It's nearly as bad as one of their homebrew parties without all the vomit.
Did your brothers and sisters have wild parties then, Mortimer?
I would not know, as I was never invited.
I'm terribly sorry about the mess I've made, but I have to be thorough. Don't worry, I'll pay for any damages. Oh, no, wait, I don't need to. They're all mad or dead, aren't they?
Holmes?
Tactless?
Ever so slightly.
Mrs. Porter, am I to understand that you were the first person to discover Owen, George and Brenda?
Oh, that I was. Terrible it was. Terrible.
Could you please describe what you saw?
Well, Mr. George and Mr. Owen were stark raving mad. They were twitching and gibbering and had big googly eyes bulging out of their faces, and their fingers were curled like talons. Oh, and there was quite a lot of dribbling involved.
No different to normal then.
And what of Brenda?
Oh, she was stone dead. On her face was a convulsion of horror that had been her last human emotion. She looked like this.
Yeah. Okay, Mrs. Porter, can you stop doing that now? Please stop it. We get the idea.
How can anyone do that with their face?
I never want to see anything like that again as long as I live. Mrs. Porter, I said stop it.
I have.
Really? Oh, how unfortunate for you. Would you mind facing the other way, or better still, would you mind leaving the room completely?
Bugger off.
Has she gone?
Yes, Watson, you can open your eyes again.
So, what did you discover from your search, Holmes?
I learned that Brenda was always short of clean underpants, and that Owen had a keen eye for observational humour and was a proficient artist.
Correct on both counts. But how did you know?
Oh boy, you had to ask, didn't you? Here we go.
It's outstandingly simple. Stuffed down the back of the sofa, I found, amongst other things, £1.37 in loose change, an empty Smarties tube, 3 dessert spoons, 7 pens, a soiled paper napkin, and no less than 11 pairs of ladies' underpants. I thus concluded that Brenda had an underwear deficit.
I wonder how they got there.
I presume Brenda misplaced them. It's easily done.
But what about Owen's infantile humour and artistry?
You use the term infantile. Is that because it was directed at you?
Indeed it was. How did you know?
Because I found these highly amusing caricatures of you in the middle of the drawer of the writing bureau. all of them are signed Owen.
Look, Mortimer, here's one of you sat on the toilet reading Woman and Home magazine. He's got your chin and ears perfectly. Ha! Here's one of you eating a doner kebab. Look, you've got salad and chilli sauce all over your shoes.
I never eat kebabs. I don't even like them.
Yeah, but if you did eat one, I bet that's what would happen.
Have you seen the one with Mortimer throwing the remote control at the TV?
Here it is. Look at his face, Holmes. He looks like he's about to give himself an aneurysm. Is that Netflix on the TV screen? Holmes, take it away or I'll piss myself.
Most amusing.
Gosh, you were really angry over them subscribing to Netflix.
I was most unhappy about it at the time, but I'm quite over it now.
So you say. But tell me, Mortimer, was it cold in this room yesterday evening?
Why do you ask?
Because despite the fact that we enjoyed a most pleasant spring day, I can see that there is evidence of a fire in the grate.
I felt that it was a little cold and damp in here myself, and so I demanded that they light a fire.
What a no-knob.
Most interesting. Well, I believe I've learned all I can here. What say you and I go back down to the pub, Watson? It's your round, I believe.
Yeah, I thought it might be.
Goodbye, Mortimer.
Good day to you, gentlemen.
Here we are, the home of Mr. Roundhay and his lodger Mortimer Tregennis. I wonder what could be so important that he summoned us round here with the utmost urgency.
Knock more quietly, Holmes. My head is splitting.
I am suffering too, Watson, but I can't understand why I have such a large hangover this morning. The Red Bull should have balanced out the effect of the vodka. Watson, I am starting to suspect that my drinks last night did not contain the precise 20 to 80 vodka to Red Bull ratio that I specified.
Possibly not.
Would you care to elaborate?
Well, I reckon that if I gradually switch the ratio round during the course of the evening, then it would be better for you.
Are you sure that you are officially sanctioned to practice medicine?
Absolutely.
On humans?
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson, we're devil-ridden. My poor parish is devil-ridden. No, Mr. Roundhay, we're just a bit hungover. What?
Mr. Roundhay, I trust that you did not drag Watson and I from our beds of misery this morning just to provide us with a doorstep sermon.
Certainly not. Mortimer Tregennis was found earlier, displaying the same symptoms as the rest of his family. Oh, Lord, is that all? I'm going back to bed.
Pull yourself together, Watson. I warned you about drinking Scrumpy. If you had stuck to Doombar like I told you...
Please don't mention Scrumpy, Holmes. Just the thought of it turns my stomach.
Scrumpy.
Stop it.
Scrumpy, 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 Scrumpy.
Oh, God, I hate you, Holmes.
What a lightweight.
Mr. Holmes, please.
Oh, right, yeah. Sorry. There was a choice of symptoms, as I recall. Either madness or death. Which of the two did Mortimer experience?
Death.
Ooh, more murder mystery. The best hangover cure in the world. Right, Watson?
Shut up, Holmes.
Feeling better now, are you?
No.
Jolly good.
What do you mean, jolly good? I feel awful.
Well, I would say that you're experiencing divine retribution for endeavouring to sabotage my tipple of choice last night. Now, Mr. Roundhay, have the police been and gone?
Oh, yes.
Then I should like to examine the scene myself.
Come right this way. I found poor Mortimer in this room here.
Was the door to the room closed when you found him?
Oh, yes.
And what was Mortimer's appearance when you first saw his body?
Oh, like this.
I see. And was the corpse making that groaning noise?
No.
Then why are you doing it?
For effect.
Well, don't. Just stick to the facts.
It's grotesque though, wouldn't you say?
Mrs. Porter did a better impression.
She was terrifying.
She certainly was. We get the general idea though, Roundhay. I would conclude that Mortimer died in the same way as his sister Brenda.
Tell me, Roundhay, is your home insurance up to date?
Yeah, of course.
And does it have comprehensive contents cover?
It certainly does.
Why'd you ask?
Oh, because I think that Holmes is about to inspect the scene of the crime.
Ooh, what's this?
All done, Holmes?
I do believe I am.
I must say you've been most thorough.
I'm always thorough. What's wrong with Roundhay?
No idea. I mean, he has comprehensive contents cover, so I don't know why he's crying. Anyway, what did your examination turn up?
Ooh, several things of interest.
Oh, such as?
Well, firstly, the atmosphere in this room was stuffy and weirdly oppressive.
Like Mrs. Hudson's room back in Baker Street.
No, Mrs. Hudson's room is more like a mortuary, and this was something different. I noticed the same thing at the scene of the Tregennis family tragedy.
What else did you find?
That there were fresh footprints outside the window. Clearly someone had been standing outside looking into the room.
Oh, was it a...
No, Watson, I do not believe it was a pervert.
But you can't rule out the possibility.
If it makes you any happier, no, I cannot rule out the possibility.
Ha! Knew it. Anything else?
Yes, I took a sample of this brownish powder left in the incense burner on the table.
What do you think it is, Holmes?
I have a theory, but in order to prove it, we should return to our hotel room and take this powder with us.
And if we do that, I can go back to bed, right?
Certainly not. I need your help in an experiment.
Oh, goody.
Bye, Roundhay. We'll let ourselves out.
So, let me get this straight, Holmes. You suspect that all 4 Tregennises were poisoned,
Yes.
and that the same substance was used in each case, but with varying effects.
Yes.
In 2 cases, the victims went mad,
Yes.
and with Brenda and Mortimer, they both died in abject terror.
Yes.
And you have brought what you believe to be a sample of the poison back to our hotel room to test it on ourselves.
Yes.
2 people died, Holmes.
I know.
Well, they're dead.
Dead as a doornail, Watson. What's your point?
No point at all, Holmes. When do we start?
How about immediately? If I'm correct in my assumptions, then the brown powder needs to be burned and the resulting fumes inhaled. The first of us to spot adverse effects in the other must throw the window open and clear the fumes from the room.
And that person is the winner.
Okay, if you like.
I bet I win.
It's not a competition to see who's best at being poisoned.
No, of course it's not. Bet I win, though.
Okay, I'm lighting the powder now. Are you sitting comfortably?
Yep.
Well, no effect so far.
No, I can't smell anything. Ooh!
Watson, I really do not believe that the effect will be that far. Oh, look at this, I can see through time.
Oh, wow, look at this.
Ooh, look at the colours.
Ooh.
Hey, oh no, I think ooh.
Hey, fishes. Lots and lots of hair. Oh, that's nice.
Those are my feet.
Here, watch where you're throwing your paraphernalia.
Watson! Watson! My dear friend, what have I done? Oh my God, Watson! Please speak to me! Watson!
That was brilliant.
Oh, thank the Lord you're all right.
Let's do that again.
I thought for a moment there we had gone too far, and I'd lost you, my dearest, dearest friend.
I could see the back of my own head.
Well, it seems that we have conclusively proven that this is the substance that affected the Tregennises.
I think I'm going a bit bold.
Yeah, who isn't? Right, so now we know the method, but not the motive or the culprit.
Should I start wearing a hat?
Yeah, if you like, but not a beanie hat. They look ridiculous. Come on, let's go for a walk. We both need some fresh air, and I need to ponder upon this case.
To the pub!
Good, I'm supposed to be the one with the addictive personality. No, Watson, no scrumpy for you today. We need clear minds and wits. Now, go and get your flip-flops on. Well, I have to say, Watson, that was a most useful walk.
I thought it was really boring.
It provided me with an opportunity to organise my thoughts.
You've not said a word to me all the time we were out.
I did speak to you.
Grunting when I poke you with a stick does not qualify as conversation.
When did you poke me with a stick?
Several times.
Well, I never noticed.
You really were in your own little world, weren't you? Do you know, I had to stop you from being knocked over by cars 4 times. In future, maybe you should do this from the safety of a comfy chair.
If you think that would be for the best, Watson.
Yes, Holmes, I do. Hey, look at that bloke pacing around outside our hotel. It looks like...
Dr. Leonard Sterndale.
It is Leonard Sterndale. Ooh, he's a famous explorer, travel writer and celebrity adventurer. He's brilliant.
He's not brilliant, he's just a show-off. I was wondering when he would show up.
You were expecting him? Why?
Because there was a whole bunch of letters from him to Brenda in his writing bureau in the Tregennis residence.
What sort of letters?
Well, in Victorian times I suppose they may have been considered as love letters.
Ooh, were they romantic?
No, they most certainly were not. They were positively pornographic. Like a cross between, 50 Shades of Grey and the Problems page of Hustler.
How do you know that Hustler has a problems page?
I'm assuming it does. I mean, don't all magazines?
Why didn't you mention these letters before?
Well, because they made me feel kind of funny.
Oh, Dr. Sterndale's coming over to us.
Mr. Sherlock Holmes, I presume?
Indeed I am. How did you know?
Who else would wear a deerstalker, Inverness cape, with cargo shorts?
It's kind of his thing, apparently.
The shorts are a concession to being on holiday.
Some holiday.
Don't start, Watson.
Aha! So you are Dr. Watson, well-known associate and chronicler of Sherlock Holmes. Let me introduce myself. I am...
Dr. Leonard Sterndale.
You're brilliant, Dr. Sterndale.
Contain yourself, Watson.
Most kind of you to say so, Dr. Watson.
Call me John.
Very well, John.
Did you hear that? He called me John. I'm on first-name terms with Leonard Sterndale, the last and greatest adventurer.
So you have seen my TV show then, John?
Sterndale, the last and greatest adventurer, is Watson's favourite programme.
It's terrific. You're terrific. Isn't he terrific, Holmes?
Please stop. John, you're too kind.
Yes, please stop, Watson, before I throw up.
I was hoping to find you, Mr. Holmes, but you do not seem surprised to see me.
I'm thrilled to see you, Dr. Sterndale.
OK, give it a rest, fanboy. No, Dr. Sterndale, I'm not at all surprised at your presence here given your relationship with the late Brenda Tregennis.
How did you know about that?
He read your letters.
What? Those were private.
Well, they were certainly inventive. But I will say, once I got past the smut, it was clear that your feelings for Brenda ran very deeply indeed.
I loved her. I received an email this morning saying that there had been a major development in the investigation into her death. It stated, in the most persuasive terms, that it would be in my best interest to return here.
Return, eh? What an interesting turn of phrase.
Why, yes, I was just about to board a plane for Africa.
Oh, cool. I bet you were off on another adventure, weren't you? That is so cool. Isn't he cool, Holmes?
Seriously, Watson, I'm going to slap you in a minute.
The email I received was very...
I wonder who could have sent you such a message.
It had your name at the bottom of it.
Yes, of course it was me. I was just messing with you.
So tell me what you know, or by God, I'll...
Will you bring Sherlock down with your bare hands? Like that time you wrestled that huge alligator to a stalemate on your American adventure. That was brilliant. The alligator was all like, grrr, and you were all, arr. Oh, and then you... Ow, you hit me. Why did you hit me, Holmes?
Because I want to do the bit where I explain the whole case, and you keep going off on one. Now shut up, Watson.
Mr. Holmes, please tell me what you know.
I know from the television programme that Watson forces me to watch that you spend a lot of time in Africa.
What of it?
I recall in one episode a feature on a certain plant that yields Radix pedis diaboli.
The devil's foot root?
Quite so.
I remember that episode. The devil's foot root has some peculiar properties. It can be used to stimulate the brain centres that control the emotion of fear. In sufficient quantities it can cause madness or even death. Hey, hang on a moment.
You're catching on, Watson.
That's what happened to all the Trigenises.
Yes, that is the point I was building up to.
The devil's foot root was used on all of them.
It's not much of a revelation, but I can see you're determined to treat it as such.
And the whole thing has something to do with Dr. Sterndale.
Can I take over from here, Watson?
Because it was on his TV show.
My turn now, Watson.
And you brought him here so that you can confront him with it.
Stop it now. This is kind of my bit.
I did not attack Brenda, Owen, or George.
See, Watson, you've ruined the whole dramatic effect I had planned.
Sorry, Holmes.
Dr. Sterndale, given your feelings towards Brenda Tregennis, I believe that you did not attack them. But what's your defence against the charge of killing Mortimer Tregennis?
I did no such thing.
I believe in you, Leonard.
Oh, get a room, Watson.
Do all of your successes depend on the power of bluff, Mr. Holmes?
I never bluff.
Yes, you do. You do it all the time. Mrs. Hudson still thinks that you keep your bicycle in the downstairs hallway because the Bible tells you so.
I hate sitting on a wet saddle. Anyway, I'm not bluffing this time. Am I, Dr. Sterndale?
You are the very devil himself, Mr. Holmes.
Would you care to tell us in your own words what happened, Sterndale? Or shall we hang around while Watson figures it out as well?
Mortimer Tregennis was a sly, scheming, evil git of the first order.
I can't say I was a particular fan of him either.
Nor me.
I tolerated him because he was my dear Brenda's brother. Upon returning from my last trip to Africa, he called upon me at my residence.
Let me guess. He wanted to see if you had brought him back a nice present.
That is exactly what happened.
Oh, what'd you brought him? I bet it was something brilliant.
I have not brought him anything.
But he kept badgering you about it anyway. Is that correct?
You have no idea. It was like having a whiny 4-year-old in the room.
Holmes gets like that if I don't bring him back a packet of Haribo every time I go to Tesco's.
In the end I relented and showed him a sample of the devil's foot root I'd kept. Shaped like a foot, half goat, half human, half chicken.
And you let Mortimer keep it.
I thought there would be no harm in it. I mean, you had to know exactly how to prepare it and to use it for it to be dangerous.
You mean dry it, grind it into a fine powder, and then burn it and inhale the fumes?
How did you?
It was on your telly show, you idiot.
Well, I never thought that even Mortimer would use it in that way on his own kin.
You mean Mortimer Tregennis did in for his own family?
Of course it was Mortimer. You recall he had them light a fire in the room on the evening of his visit.
Oh, because he was a no-knob.
I agree, he was a no-knob. But in this case, it was so that he could fling the powdered devil's foot into the fire as he departed the room, in order to poison the others present.
What a git!
Told you so.
But why did he do it?
Because he felt he had been ousted from the family home of Tregennis Water.
Oh, Netflix isn't that bad.
Netflix was simply the final straw as far as Mortimer was concerned. In his view, they did it just to annoy and undermine him further.
He did make a lot of snide comments about them.
And he displayed no distress at their fate. Also consider Owen's caricatures of him.
You saw those then?
Oh, they were hilarious. But which was your favourite, Leonard?
It was definitely the one where Mortimer appears to be choking on a whole cucumber.
Yeah, I like that one too. It looked like his eyes were popping right out of his head.
Yeah, it's funny.
So, despite a veneer of reconciliation, there was still mutual animosity between Mortimer and the rest of his family. Sterndale's gift of the devil's foot provided Mortimer with an opportunity to get the others out of the way and regain the family home.
He killed my beloved Brenda.
I suspect he only wanted her to go mad, but her weaker female frame resulted in death rather than insanity.
Weaker female frame? That's a bit sexist, Holmes.
What can I say? I'm a product of the British private education system.
Oh, topical.
I couldn't let that monster Mortimer get away with it.
So you gave him a taste of his own medicine.
Yes.
You confronted him with the crime while he was in his own room, then forced him to inhale a quantity of the devil's foot that you had placed in the incense burner, while you stood outside and watched.
How do you know I was standing outside the window?
Because you have notoriously small feet for a man.
Oh, that's right. It was mentioned in a Sunday Times magazine article about you.
There were footprints in the ground outside Mortimer's window. They were made by a pair of size 5 Doc Martin boots, just like the ones you're wearing right now.
Look at his little feet.
You have me banged to rights, Mr. Holmes, but I wanted justice for Brenda.
And Owen and George.
What? Oh, yes. Right, them too. I wanted justice, but should have appealed to the law. Would a jury of my countrymen believe so fantastic a story?
Probably not.
It's like something from a movie.
So I did what I thought was right by Brenda.
And Owen and George.
Yes, and Owen and George.
Nonetheless, Sterndale, you took the law into your own hands. And while I can actually sympathise with your actions, I do not think that I can condone them.
So are you going to report me to the police?
If you do that, Holmes, then Leonard won't be able to make any more adventure series.
I realise that, Watson.
And it's my favourite programme.
I know it is, Watson.
And Mortimer was an evil little twat.
I agree. Utterly obnoxious.
And Last and Greatest Adventurer is the best TV show ever.
We're all aware of your enthusiasm for it.
And Brenda was lovely.
Yeah, hubba, and all that.
And the TV show, Holmes.
Getting a bit repetitive now, Watson.
And Leonard loved Brenda deeply.
Yeah, poor chap.
Oh, and did I mention the TV show, Holmes?
Ad nauseum, Watson.
And if Last and Greatest Adventure is not on anymore, then I won't want to watch any more television ever again.
Well, maybe that's not such a bad thing.
So we will just have to sit and talk to each other all the time instead.
Gods, I hadn't thought of that.
Hey, maybe we can take up a new hobby together.
Sterndale, as I said, I can't condone your actions, but I can understand them. I also believe that you're a man of honour and integrity.
I am.
How long were you going to Africa for?
I was thinking of making several seasons of shows out there.
Oh, brilliant.
I may never return to these shores.
Dr. Sterndale, go and catch your plane. Make many, many more TV shows, and keep Watson happy. And quiet.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Thank you.
Now go, you great lion of a man, before I change my mind.
I will never be able to repay either of you.
Can I have a hug, Leonard?
No, not really.
Sterndale, go.
Goodbye, gentlemen. Goodbye.
I would have liked a hug.
You're too tactile, Watson. I've told you about it before. Watson, did you just drop one?
Oh, yeah, sorry, Holmes. I've been feeling a bit bloated since we experimented with the devil's foot root in our hotel room.
Flatulence is one unfortunate side effect of those that survive the toxin. Good God, Watson, you absolutely stink.
Well, I would say that it's olfactory, my dear Holmes.
You have been listening to Sherlock Holmes and the Adventure of the Devil's Foot, starring Stanislaw as Sherlock Holmes, Simon Stein as Dr. John Watson, Anastasia as Mrs. Porter, and featuring Elliot Clark as Mortimer Tregennis. All other parts were played by Fred Turner and Dennis Gavin. Adapted and produced by Fred Turner and Dennis Gavin. Music from Elgar, Beethoven, Rossini and Wagner. Sherlock Holmes will return next month in The Adventure of the Crooked Man.